Hey guys, this is Al. I'm over here at the shop. This is the weekend of the 6th of April. Today I'm going to be spending most of my time on doing some general maintenance on the Turbo R. I have to wait a couple of days for the guy to free up some space so that he can fix the fender, and when he does, then we can bring it in here and do the paint work. So I have another guy lined up that will do the paint work once the metal work's done. So my goal this weekend is just to do some general maintenance on this car. So when I start this car up, it sounds pretty tappety. So I want to change the oil. I've got Mobil 1 15W50 and a new filter. So I got a killer deal on these filters actually. I got them from Rock Auto, and they're Hengst, which is a high quality German company. And I don't know how much I paid, but it was like, I think less than $5 or something like that for them. So that I bought a whole bunch. I think I bought them all. So I'm going to do an oil change, and rather than draining the pan, I know it's up here on ramps right now. And the reason it's on ramps is because I want to take the oil filter off, but I'm actually going to siphon the oil out. So I have one of these deals. I don't know if you can see it next to my Jensen, right? This guy over here. This is like an oil extractor that I have. It works really well. I had to buy some new PVC from one of the hardware stores, so that I can create a longer suction line, because the suction lines are a little bit too short. But this should work. So hopefully I should be able to drain it. If I can drain them, then I'll pull the filter off and do the oil change and see how it sounds. I'm also going to add a ceramic additive because I had a friend of mine that used to be a true believer in this. Unfortunately, he passed away back in 2012. He was an Australian Mercedes-Benz mechanic, and he was a real believer on it and a real early adopter of this stuff back in the day. And I've heard that it helps quieten lifters and do things like that. So I'm just going to give it a try. I don't think it's going to hurt anything. So that's that. That's going to be that. Okay, so I also bought new injectors for my Corniche. So let's see what okay. So the part number on these is 0437 502 012. I don't know whether you can see it well enough. Let's see. Right, there you go. These interchange. They're exactly the same as the one that I pulled off, and you can see this one is just nasty. So I think it's time for a new set of injectors on this car. And I'm a true believer of cleaning these injectors, but when they start looking like this on the inside, it's not good. So these are the new ones. And they're exactly the same length. They terminate the same spot. These injectors interchange with the early Porsche 928 injectors and the Saab 900. And there is a way of testing injectors, making sure they work well and they're right. And just do that, and then they work. So if you, I'm going to try replacing these and seeing if I can solve the running issue on the Corniche. So that's what I'm going to be working on this weekend as well. And then lastly, I want to do some work on the Brooklands. So with the Brooklands, as I mentioned, I changed the fuel pump over, so now the car is running, but it's running way too rich. I was hoping that I could get underneath the hood of one of these cars and find a connection to a fuel pressure on the fuel rail, so I can connect the fuel pressure gauge, and then that way I can check the pressure on these cars and then check the pressure on that car, and compare the two and see if I have too much pump effectively. Unfortunately I can't see any of the fuel rail underneath this, and I should have known this because we did that work on the Continental R, and I remember that everything was underneath the intercooler. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go put the old pump on, which I know I got working. I know it works because I got it working again. But I'm going to go put it back on, and I'm going to see if that solves the problem, because right now it's just running too rich and it's just too much pump for the car, or it feels that way anyway. Because if there's only one fuel pressure gauge on it, some cars have two. They have one to slow the pressure down, and one as it gets into the rail, and then one to kind of like slow it down as it gets out of the rail, so that you can maintain a balanced pressure inside the rail. Some of them only have one rail, and then that way it just gets all the pressure from the fuel pump. So if the fuel pump's given too much pressure, it may be overfeeding the system. I did look at the readings, and I looked at some, I don't know whether you remember, some of the readings on the O2 sensors were saying 1.275 volts, which is max rich on both sides. The fuel trim, I don't think it monitors, and that's why it was 0 on the pre-cat and 99% on the post-cat. But in any case, it's obviously running rich, so we've got to fix that problem. So I also found a set of iridium plugs that I must have pulled off some other car that I'm going to swap into that one. They probably came off a Mercedes. They're the same thread pitch, and I checked them on the NGK website, and they are the correct iridium plugs for a Bentley. I probably pulled them off a Mercedes because they weren't the right plugs for a Mercedes. Sometimes Mercedes use non-resistor plugs, and they require them to run right. So if you put resistor plugs in, it causes problems. So it makes sense to pull plugs out even if they're brand spanking new. So I'm going to swap those in because those plugs are nasty. I'll clean those at some point and put them on the shelf in case I need plugs again. But that's really my action plan. So first things first, I'm going to drain the oil out of this thing. If my little makeshift siphon tube works with this deal, then I'll siphon all the oil out, change the oil, and then change the filter, work on that first, and then move on to the Corniche, and then after that I'll move on to the Brooklands. Okay guys, the oil change's been done, so everything went well. I don't think I'll siphon oil out of these cars anymore, because I don't think that I was able to siphon as much as I should have. I don't mind if there's like half a quart in there or anything else like that, but when I drained the recovery tank, there was less than I expected. So yeah, so next time I'll drain it, but for now it should be fine. It runs a lot better. You can actually hear that the lift is not as noisy. Although there is a bearing noise coming from either the AC compressor or the air pump or something like that, because that's annoying. But there you go. I've also put half the injectors on the Corniche. This of course is the easy half, but you can see that these injectors are lovely and new, and they look great. Wasn't hard to do. These are the old injectors, and they look pretty nasty. Yeah, they look pretty nasty, so I think this is going to help. I really hope it will. If not, then I'll pull the fuel distributor off and give it to the kid and let the kid go to work on it. But yeah, I'll start working on the other side. The other side, this one's not so easy, so you can see that there's an injector right there. Then behind this big boot there's another injector, and then I guess underneath the airflow meter there might be an injector or so, a couple of injectors at the front. You probably have to pull this thing off and maybe this thing off, which will suck if you do, but that's where we are. Alright guys, so we're gonna crank it and see how it runs. Give it a bit of time to warm up, and then I'll rev the engine and see how it feels. Well, that's pretty good. It doesn't seem to have the hesitation that it used to, or the lumpiness. I've already done the injectors on this side of the car. The other side is going to take some work, and I was impatient, so I just did this side first. I've got to take, it looks like, in order to get to those injectors, I've got to take this off, and I've got to take this off. Pull them all the way so that I can get to that side of the injectors. So I'm going to tackle that after I get done with the Brooklands, because I want to take care of that one first, because it's obviously more of a problem. But this car runs great at this point. It runs fantastic, and it still can run better with, you know, another 4 injectors, another 4 new injectors. But I think the problem must have been one of these injectors on that side, or actually I think it was 2 injectors, because when I pulled 2 of them out, they just looked terrible. They looked like they had rust in them. So I think that was the key problem. But in any case, this thing runs great. If I can, I'm going to pull it out and see if I can give it a clean, because it's just been sitting here for so long. And maybe take it for a spin, but probably not today, probably tomorrow.